truly, I don't know what the Supreme Court is doing. I have no idea. I mean, I really am so concerned about what's going on in the Supreme Court because their actions seem to be so indecisive, so staccato, so reactionary, and it's causing concern across the entire country because of the way the Supreme Court has dealt with this matter. And Rhythm joins me in this first conversation with Mahesh Jethmalani tonight. The nation is very concerned. Citizens are concerned. Rhythm, you can start this conversation, please.
Good evening, Mr. Jethmalani. Today, I believe the first question that needs to be asked is not only to Yashwant Varma, Justice Yashwant Varma, but also to the Collegium, which unanimously decided to only transfer him. Lo and behold, what led the Collegium to only decide this? Why is there no independent inquiry that they thought could be held in this matter before transferring him? If you can hear me, sir.
You're coming in bits and pieces, but
I gathered.
Can I? The gist of what you've asked me is the transfer which the Supreme Court made of Justice Varma, is it adequate? A remedy for what was found at Justice Varma's house? That's the sum and substance of your question? Am I right?
Yes.
But, I mean, clearly the answer is no. But the Supreme Court has made a clarification subsequently, right? And we have to accept it at face value that the transfer is independent of the incident at Justice Varma's house, right?
You can't believe that, so Mr. Jethmalani. You can't believe that. I mean, they've done that after a lot of public anger. I mean, an incident happens on 14. They do the transfer a week later, and they say these two things are not linked.
Yes, but
impossible to believe.
But we have to take the Supreme Court's clarification at its face value.
Sure.
Now, there are 5 eminent men who are sitting now in this inquiry. If they say that the two incidents of A, transfer, and B, the recovery of illegal wealth that is placed are separated, right, are distinct.
Well, they've said so after the Allahabad High Court Bar Association refused to accept a tainted judge.
Sorry?
They have said so. The Supreme Court came out with a clarification after the stinging reprimand from the Allahabad High Court Bar Association, which said we are not a trash bin. So they... Yeah.
Well, you may be right. Your inference that the Supreme Court has backtracked after the stinging response of the Allahabad Bar, you may be right. But it's not for me to make that inference. I am a practicing lawyer, a senior counsel, and I wouldn't like to make such allegations against a collegium consisting of extremely eminent judges, right? So let's leave that part of that and let's move on as to the future. So therefore, the transfer in any case, as I said, I agree with you. If the Supreme Court's reaction had been one of transfer, it would be totally disproportionate to the nature of the incident, the illegal nature of the incident, which a member of a sitting judge of the Delhi High Court was found guilty of, or prima facie guilty of, right? So on that issue, there is no dispute between the two.
I'm just thinking here. I'm just thinking aloud here.
The entire country is of the same view.
Thinking aloud here, Mr. Jethmalani, and I'm just expressing this before Rhythm, you ask your next question, that we expect the Supreme Court of India to show the way on all matters, and all matters of corruption as well. Now, what's coming across here is that the highest court of the country, when there's corruption within the judiciary, is doing, I'm sorry to say, this little indecisive number. It doesn't know what it's doing. I mean, this is not encouraging for the 1.4 billion people in this country.
Yes.
They're going to say, what's going on? You can't even look up to the Supreme Court anymore.
I agree. And Arnab, let me add to what you're saying. Whether this incident, right, was whether the transfer and the activity at the discovered activity at Justice Varma's house are related or not. Let me tell you, in the past, every time there has been an issue of corruption against a judge, right, it has always been met with a transfer.
But transfer is not punishment.
Almost the inevitable.
Transfer is not punishment. I'm sorry, transfer is a cover-up.
Yes,
transfer is not punishment.
I agree with you. It is because the Supreme Court has repeatedly only transferred errant judges that there has been no deterrent and the practice of corruption continues. I agree with you.
If the judiciary will not investigate its own, who will? I mean, do you agree? Mr. Salve told me earlier today, this can no longer be the subject of an in-house inquiry. You have to open it up. The whole collegium system has failed the people of this country because the judges are not accountable to anyone. That's my takeaway from this.
I agree. I mean, the response to shocking acts of corruption is extremely tepid. And the procedure for reaching their decision in such cases is totally opaque, and we need more transparency on this. Now, let me tell you something, Arnab. This entire in-house inquiry procedure which takes place when there's an errant judge discovered for corruption or with money, right? There is, in 1991, 5 judges of the Supreme Court said that constitutional court judges, such as judges of the High Court and the Supreme Court, were amenable under the Prevention of Corruption Act.
Yeah.
They said they are public servants and they had to be investigated and tried just like any other public servant.
Precisely.
Would be investigated and tried. It's a 5-judge judgment.
Okay.
The whole in-house procedure, which has been followed in the wake of that judgment and notwithstanding that judgment, is, in my respectful submission, an extremely, it's contrary to a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
That judgment only made one caveat to the normal law prevailing to other citizens under the Prevention of Corruption Act, and that was that the concurrence of the Chief Justice of India to go ahead with the investigation and prosecution of a sitting High Court or Supreme Court judge, right, would be required. That's all.
Absolutely.
But if the police file an FIR, they have to make an application to the Chief Justice of India and get his sanction.
Okay.
And that sanction, if not granted, would presumably
is burning the social media right now. And much as the Supreme Court feels that the media does not do its job, this is one of those cases, I would say, in which the Supreme Court of India should remind itself that but for the media, this matter would not have reached this point. And I think the highest judiciary should be happy and grateful that the media is doing its job and showing the way. Thank you so much, Mr. Jethmalani.